where we come from and what we have to do. A lot of us, we got to get out the mud.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? But the ability to get it out the mud and grow the roses and grow it to a garden yo, that's a genius.
Yes, it is.
I came my startup company is called Knowlej.
Mm-hmm.
We bring learn to earn opportunities to schools across the globe.
Yes.
We believe we're building a world where kids can fund their future, where they can learn anything from anywhere and get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Correct. We got 5,000 kids across the country learning and earning.
5,000.
5,000 kids, yeah. So Knowlej, I'll tell you this. So before it was Knowlej, the company was called K-12 Crypto.
Yeah.
Right. And we did a pilot with K-12 Crypto, and we're still big in like Web3, blockchain technology.
Yeah.
We're still doing that. But we also understand, like, I'm a brand guy.
Yeah.
Like, my brand, Revolutionary Educator, right? Being revolutionary, like, I'm a brand guy. I can build brands and sell in schools and solve problems in schools second to none. Our platform Knowlej is the enhancement in the revolutionary approach taken upon on that study to gamify learning in a way that engages and personalized to every kid.
Yeah.
So there's some kids that want the Robux. There's some kids that want the V-Bucks in Fortnite. There's some kids that's like, yo, give me the money.
Right.
There's some kids.
Welcome to Keys to the Culture podcast. It's your hostess with the mostest, Maisha, and this is a place where we celebrate creators, entrepreneurs, innovators who shape the culture around us and give relevance to the creator economy one post at a time. So in other words, we're rooting for everybody Black. And today we have a special guest who's not only a revolutionary, but he is a man of purpose in our community. So let me read a bit about him, just so you can get a little peep of what he does. Rahh, Principal Rahh, is a speaker and Amazon best-selling author. He's at the forefront of the educational revolution. He trained at the International Institute of Restorative Practices. He funded the University Pathways Public Service Academy. He's recognized as a model for restorative community building. In just 2 years, it has disseminated its innovative ideas to schools nationwide. Hailing from Compton, California, Rahh, he collaborates with organizations like the LA Clippers, Think Watts, Planet Fitness, even the FBI, and a law firm to enhance schools in the community. Nationally renowned for his culturally relevant house system, he fosters a sense of belonging on campuses. In service to Watts, for over a decade, Rahh pioneered initiatives like the Boys to Gentlemen program, I love that, and collaborators with the Clippers for community facilities. This man is a pioneer, he's an educator, he's a revolutionary. Welcome, Principal Rahh.
No, thanks for having me.
Yes,
Excited
sir.
to dive in for the keys to the culture.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great conversation.
It really is. And I'm so happy that you're here. Yeah. And before we start...
Took a minute, though.
It took a minute. But he here. That's all that matters.
We made it happen.
So before we start, I have one question to ask you. When did you know that Black creativity was the culture?
Wow, that's deep. I would say, man, just my household, like from birth, I feel like from my ability to understand the type of household I was raised in.
I love it.
So my father, for people that don't know, his name was Professor Rahh. I go by Rahh. Professor Rahh, born in Compton, my mom gave me the breath of life of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
My father gave me the sacred knowledge. So like growing up, I'm the youngest of 6, so I was able to see my mom just create.
Yeah.
Like when you think about Black creativity, like
Absolutely.
this is my mom. Like just quick story about my mom. She was the neighborhood go-to for, like, if you ripped your jeans, she knew how to, she would sew it all up for you. Then she got to the point where she's practicing sewing, and then now she's developing dresses and suits for folks and starting to sell them. Then she learned makeup and started a makeup company, and then she did bail bonds. So I seen her just always go for a dream. And then my father was a Black nationalist. So he helped build the Black Studies Department at Long Beach State University and hired the person that invented Kwanzaa. So for me, Black creativity, Black genius, Black excellence was something that I seen on a daily basis growing up. So I didn't know I just thought that's just normal. Like being a superhero and black and creative is just normal.
Yeah.
Like in my household, like that was just a standard. So I would say at a very young age, I knew that something special lived inside of that melanin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that melanin. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
And I see you got a Compton hat. So you from Compton?
Born and raised.
Come on, born and raised.
Sunny Cole.
Let's talk about it.
Sunny Cole, stand up. Y'all know what it is.
How was your life growing up in the city of Compton?
Man, beautiful, man. Like, if you ask anybody from Sunny Cole that grew up in the first phase, because you know it's different phases. But yeah, we grew up in Sunny Cove. Anybody that grew up in Sunny Cove during, the 90s, we just had a hell of a time. You know, we grew up playing football in the streets, and, the ghetto bird was up. Everybody know that. That's just, but it's funny, I was talking to somebody the other day. When you think about, growing up in Compton or growing up how we grew up, some of the things that it was just normal for us. It's not normal for other folks, you know? I had some people visit from Atlanta. We was out in L.A. and, the ghetto bird came up and they they looking like, I'm like, y'all straight, man.
Right.
Straight. When that light hits you, then you know you got to get on.
That's when you got to worry.
But, growing up, man, it was fascinating, man. It was just... I love my childhood, going outside, playing murder ball, playing, ding dong ditch, playing football in the street, playing pickle, like we just coming up with games, because we didn't have social media.
That's a fact.
So it was just like, we just coming up with ideas to create, and it was special, man. We have a brotherhood that, I'm sure you got your friends that you cannot speak for months. Even years.
Yeah.
And it's like your favorite cousin. It's like, you already know what it is.
Yep.
And that's the type of time we own that grew up in Sunny Cove during that time. It's like, it's a brotherhood, man. Because we could have went left, but, we had such a tight group with the shout outs to the parents in the neighborhood. It was like, we grew up in a time where that may have not been your mom, but that was your mom. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you can't say that in front of her, just like you couldn't say it. And they talking like, hey, how do you know all that? Because we just that was the type of neighborhood we had.
Yeah.
It was a special time, man.
Yeah, I miss those days, man. Playing in the street.
It
was
water
no
fights.
social media. Come on, water balloons.
Yeah, water balloons. We had the whole thing, so it was beautiful, man. Like I can't imagine, like I got 2 kids now, and just knowing like that time we were out I was 7, 8 years old and it's like out with late at night, playing football. Because I was the youngest in my neighborhood, so I was out with 10, 11, 12. We out there playing football at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't imagine right now, you know what I'm saying, just with the way the world is and doing that with my daughter who's 8, you know what I mean? But also at the same time, it's what gave us that hidden genius, because we understood what was going on, and we was able to like really understand the street code, you know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
And navigate in a special way. So, we realized quick that, we're the secret sauce.
That's a fact. That we really are the secret sauce, and we see our blueprint everywhere in everything, and the clothes we wear, the way we talk, the slang we use, and it's a special type of a sauce that we have as Black people that's unmatched by anybody.
Facts.
And growing up in Compton, we see the beautiful things in Compton, but you also see some of the negative things and how it can negatively affect our community. Like, how was your experience with that, and how did you overcome just even growing up in that environment and not getting involved in things that could be detrimental to you?
Now, I was still influenced. Like, we were still influenced.
Absolutely.
Like, even all the folk, even though we was tight and we had 2-parent households, many of us, like, we had a lot of stability, we still was influenced.
Yeah.
Right? We just wasn't influenced to the place. And I won't even say we wasn't influenced to the place. We were fortunate.
Yeah.
We were extremely fortunate. Like, I thought I was going to be a straight up just gangster rapper. Like, even though my father was a councilman, I was influenced of a culture.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it was such, like, I grew up, even though my family were educators, I didn't want to be an educator.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, why would you want to be a teacher? You're not making no money. That, like, it's one of the most disrespected professions in the country, in the world.
I hear you.
Right, when it comes to pay, because it's women dominated, unfortunately, so they disrespect it. And I'm like, my father is this prominent figure.
Yeah.
And we live in paycheck to paycheck. It wasn't adding up. And, you know, come to realize, you know, of course my father is taking care of so many people.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't get it. You putting in all this work, but we here.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So I was like, I'm about to rap or play football. You know,
Okay.
I'm gonna show my parents this is how we gonna change the circumstance where you ain't have to worry, but we can take care of everybody. So I was influenced. I mean, I was going over there. Shout outs to, you know, my when I was growing up, brothers that taught me how to rap, Wax and Packy. They grew up in Ujima Village. Ujima Village not there no more, but I used to go over there and rap with them.
Wow.
And like had a name, like I had a whole rap name, had a whole vibe, you know, living like two lives, you know what I'm saying? So it was that journey for me, at least, of finding like who I was, my identity, you know what I'm saying? Because like my father and I had the same name, I felt like I was in his shadows.
Ooh, okay.
And being in somebody's shadows at that time, everybody know my pops. I'm going to school. Oh, you Professor Amin Ross' son. Are you this? And it was just I was influenced.
Yeah.
So to give you context, I think I wouldn't have had it no other way though.
Yeah.
Because it's what provided me to be a better educator, a
Absolutely.
revolutionary educator. So, but I also want to say this too, because a lot of people look at the negative sides of Compton.
That's a fact.
You know, I travel across. I had the luxury of speaking to over 25,000 educators last year across the country, from rural Kentucky to the Bronx to Indiana, and I wear this Compton hat, and it's not because, man, I want to put on just for Compton. I want to put on for a lot of kids that come from areas and situations like mine that are a stereotype is put on them. Because most people, I lie to you not, I'm in front of crowds and their impression of Compton is what they see from the movie, Straight Outta Compton. That's
exactly.
it. So I wanted to represent, although I have a gold chain, I have a revolutionary educator in this hat, I got multiple master's degrees.
Absolutely.
Right? I was accepted to UCLA doctoral program. I had that best-selling, like I have these intellectual properties and gifts.
Absolutely.
But I don't want you to judge me for how the influence of culture and the culture that I love has influenced me, because I'm going to walk in every building as my authentic self, and I want that next kid to walk in as their authentic self to say, I'm accepted here. So Compton, where I go, I'm saying that it's a place where kids that can see themselves in me to say that you're accepted here.
Absolutely.
And that's, to me, that's what, more than anything, is that's what at least what I represent.
Yeah, and I love that too. Because, you know, a lot of times we go through life and you don't feel like you can show up authentically as yourself because sometimes they don't make it comfortable for us to do that. So how do you find that authenticity and be like, you know what, I'm going to just show up as me because people going to love what I am, who I am.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because like these things are at war, right? Because like we're raised, think about it, we're raised in many ways. We get street influence. We understand the street code. And then we get to these places that says that you need to code switch.
Yes.
So we need to turn off the street code to turn on this switched code. And a lot of times when we switch the code, we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
We lose a piece. Every time we switch the code, we lose a piece of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, W.E.B. Du Bois talk about this double consciousness.
Yes.
And you don't know who you are, right? And I went through that. When I became a teacher, I was like, man, I got to be Mr. Raw. Right? I got to be Mr. Raw, this Clarence type of person because I got to be accepted as this teacher of what the world will say a black male teacher should look like.
Absolutely.
And I actually read this book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it's about falling in love with the process of becoming great.
Yeah.
And in the book, it talked about this story of this kid wanted to become a sorcerer, and he thought that he was gonna go and get straight to business on learning it. And his sensei was like, no, you need to chop wood and carry water first. You need to gain your discipline. Right? You need to gain his discipline. And during the story, as he's following in pursuit of greatness, he said he had to surrender the outcome and become his authentic self. And when I read that, it hit me. I was like, yo, man, like, yo, I'm me. Like, what makes me is the DNA of my learning.
Yeah, definitely.
Why would I cut that off to say that to be accepted in this space? And when I said, now I'm going to surrender the outcome and be my authentic self as a principal, as an educator, as a teacher, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a husband, as a father, as a son, this is me. The good, the bad, you got to accept it. So I always say that we have to walk into places saying that if it's on the spectrum of greatness in that pursuit, It's okay here, no matter how you show up.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's at least where I stand. I don't know if I answered what you know.
No,
what I'm saying,
that's great.
That's where I'm at.
What I take from that is authenticity and being who you are is your superpower.
Correct.
You know, it makes you unique. It sets a new tone. You can change the feeling in a room. You walk in a room, you can elevate it with your uniqueness. And that's what I get from that.
Correct.
And, you know, and you call yourself a revolutionary educator. What does that mean?
Yo, it's about somebody who understands the culture and the dynamics of where they come from and creates positive pathways of success for everybody that they touch.
Wow.
Right? Like, and it doesn't mean that you got a teacher credential.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you got all these degrees. You're a revolutionary educator because you're creating a pathway.
Yeah.
And you're representing and providing education and information, and you're democratizing access to the creator economy.
Yeah.
You're democratizing access to the brilliance and the genius of others.
Yeah.
Right? So you're a revolutionary educator. So I want to just represent, you know, those street scholars, those scholars that have been marginalized, to say that, you know, your fluid intelligence is not brilliance and genius, right? Because a lot of times in the educational system or in general, society would say, you know, you need this degree from Harvard, and that's when you're a genius. Nothing against that. Like, I got my cousin going there, and for sure, he's genius. But that doesn't mean that there's not room for other geniuses to thrive, right? Whether it be in the arts, whether it to be in music, whether it to be through code, whether it to be their drive, the ability. I see somebody talk about Kobe the other day, and they said, you know, it was Gilbert Arenas. He said, what made Kobe so great was that, you know, when you look, like, his physical features wasn't superb. He didn't have, like, the big hands. He wasn't overly fast. He didn't jump out the gym. But he was able to take what he had and still be elite.
Absolutely.
Right? Because of his drive, his mentality, and that's a genius. That's a greatness.
Yeah.
And think about where we come from and what we have to do. A lot of us, we got to get out the mud.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? But the ability to get it out the mud and grow the roses and grow it to a garden yo, that's a genius.
Yes, it is.
And that's kind of like where I say, like, no, I represent the fluid intelligence, that hidden genius with the hidden knowledge, with the sacred knowledge that blossoms, you know. So that's a revolutionary educator.
Yeah, and you know, he said a lot, and just in the city in Compton as an educator, you know, you've been able to make a huge impact. So as an educator, what do you see is some of the main things that our youth today need? What are the tools that they need? Yeah,
they need access. They need motivation that leads to inspiration and networks and mentorship. So, like, you know, I was a founding principal. So I opened a high school, right?
Yeah.
I also opened a preschool right now.
Yeah.
So from pre-K to 12, I understand the dynamics of education. So when I opened my school, I just wanted to build a school I wish I had, right? I wanted to build a school that said it was okay for you to be here, but here are the pathways. And I wanted to build a school that every kid felt like somebody.
Yeah.
But I also want to build a school to say, yo, I'm going to love you, but I'm also got high expectations.
Absolutely.
Like, don't say you want to get out the mud, but you afraid to get mud on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, those two things can't happen at the same time. So, like, we got to understand, unfortunately, you know, I was telling one of the stories I told my students was, all right, y'all, listen. Unfortunately, a lot of us got to get it out the mud.
Yeah.
Many of us can sit here and complain about the fact that we got to get out of the mud. Cool.
Yeah.
And you can be there alone, and it's a value in saying, hey, it's a problem that we got to get it out of the mud because they not getting it out the mud. But then you have people that say, like, yo, I got to go get it out the mud.
That's a fact.
And then some of people get it out the mud, but they scared to get in the mud. But then it's that one person that say, no, I'm just about to dive in and I'm going to figure this out.
Facts.
And that person that dives in, they get something quicker than the other two. So I always talk to my students in that way. I'm like, listen, let's get you around other people so you can get the resource. Because once you get the resources and you do find that thing out the mud, toe to toe, pound for pound, you get resource for resource, we unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
So, you know, it's for the kids today, it's around, first, how do we motivate them? There's over 15 million kids that's not returning to school after COVID.
Oh, wow.
They're not motivated. With artificial intelligence, AI, there's millions of jobs that's going to be lost.
Yeah.
new skills, they need access to understand what do new employers want and what do they seek.
Absolutely.
2, they need to be able to see people that come from where they come from, walk, talk, and can speak their language in those rooms and in those spaces, so they can say that, oh, I can do it too.
Absolutely.
So when we combine those things together, it's a cultural movement that's needed, that's tied to academic success with pipelines to power to companies and industries that are for the future.
Wow. You, come here. Yes, you. Have you been struggling to stay consistent with your content? We've all been there. You told yourself you was going to post about a year ago, but you have yet to post today. But don't worry, I got you covered. Introducing the Ultimate Content Calendar Blueprint. It is a guide that will show you how to stay consistent with your content for the next 30 days and beyond. It's filled with tips, tools, and ideas to help you take your content to the next level. And guess what? It's completely free. So don't wait, because it's going to go out fast. So make sure you download the Content Calendar Blueprint today. Wow, phenomenal. And I think, with tech, speaking of technology, because I'm in the tech startup space, and, just the information on how to raise funds. Yeah. And the kids need to learn that too. Correct. When it goes through the process of funding. What is the cycles of funding? How do I get access to this funding? And a lot of people don't look like us in those spaces.
Correct. Less than 2% of venture capital funding goes to Black founders.
Woo. It hits you hard. Yeah. Yeah, because I've walked in rooms. I'm the only Black person and probably the only woman. Correct. And it's crazy, the information out there. And like you said, just in the tech space as a career, there's so many opportunities for people to be making 6 figures. You can go get a certification and go make 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think a lot of people just don't know that. And I think the younger they are, and you can catch them early, give them the skills, give them the knowledge, the training, and they'll be able to make 6 figures by the time they're in high school. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But I think I got to say this. Listen. Yeah. All right, and some people are not going to like this. We don't need no more nonprofits. Ooh. We need more folks building companies that could generate millions, billions, to be able to become limited partners for VCs to be able to fund other businesses. Absolutely. Right? Because many of us, and we go through and we understand the problems of our community, and we feel that just a nonprofit way, which is great, I'm not saying it's not, is the only way, because that's our passion. Absolutely. Our passion is for our community. We don't want to say it's about the money. We don't want to say it's those different things. We don't want to, I was mentoring some folks in a space, and they're afraid to talk about products and money and getting at them, because it's like, I just want to get capital so I can just do what I like to do for the community. But also, that means we're staying knocking on doors that's not from the community, hoping that they can give us access, hoping that they can give us a little bit of capital so we can continue this thing. And what I'm saying is, I have a startup company. Unfortunately or fortunately, I see my company has been invited to Silicon Valley. We have one of the biggest venture capital funds in the world that's a seat at the table on our cap table. That's amazing. Right? A16Z, TXO, Talent Opportunity Fund, invested in us. And I see the macroeconomics and how we especially for Compton, to be able to say, you know what? Let's incubate, let's accelerate, let's understand the startup world. Let's understand how we can create scalable businesses that can be sold. That because that liquidity event allows for us to reinvest. Yes. Right? Yes. Or to get to that valuation where we could now have different options, like access or equity provides options. Yeah. So, and that's at least one of the missions that I'm on, is to build a tech company, build something revolutionary, and create Compton VC, a venture capital legacy fund that teaches people what is a startup? How do you get to the point where you have a scalable business that solves a problem? Absolutely. And I feel like we sometimes feel that those two things can't coexist. Everybody, you can have high social impact and a profitable business. Absolutely. Those two things can coexist. It doesn't mean, oh man, let me just worry about impact and not have a product that solves a problem. And I think that we need more folks in the technology space.
Absolutely.
Building social platforms, building also consumer products, building ed tech platforms, building in the healthcare.
Yes.
Right, we're fighting a lot of different fights,
Absolutely.
and we need public and private partnerships to make it work.
I agree 100%. So for someone who's moving into the tech space, maybe they do have a startup, what is some advice would you would give them just starting out?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna tell my story.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can pick up whatever I'm laying down when
Come
it comes
on.
to it. You know what I mean? So my startup company is called Knowlej.
Mm-hmm.
We bring learn to earn opportunities to schools across the globe.
Yes.
We believe we're building a world where kids can fund their future, where they can learn anything from anywhere and get paid to do it.
Absolutely.
Why? Is because, listen, the numbers are clear. Over 14 million kids are living below the poverty line.
Yeah.
The higher education is at an alarming level when it comes to tuition. And most kids coming from where we come from, they're not exposed to high-paying jobs. And they have their biggest financial decision by the time they graduate high school. And that's most of the time taking a student loan.
Yeah.
Or taking some form of debt, or choosing a major that is going to only pay them $50,000, and when they get it, they got $50,000 of loans, right? And that's a huge problem. So what I did was, all right, this is a problem. What can I do? I was always into technology, so I quit my job and I taught myself how to code.
Yeah.
I learned a few program languages. I landed on a program language in a stack called SQL. I learned some front-end design called Webflow, and I went to Twitter. And I just started tweeting my idea.
Crazy.
I didn't even know nothing about a startup. I didn't just start tweeting, and folks was like, "Is this a company?"
Wow.
And then I was like, "Damn, well, let me go to Fiverr and create a little logo."
Yeah.
And I created a little Twitter page and started to just tweet facts about my idea and see what people were saying, and people were starting to say it. And then I finally learned about, I need to make this into a C corporation, because I'm thinking LLC until I found out that most VCs don't invest in LLCs. They will rather invest in a C corp. So I learned that, and I'm on Twitter, and people, VCs are starting to catch on. And one lady introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Nate Jones. He worked with Nas.
Yeah.
And he introduced me to a gentleman named Kofi, who's head over A16Z TXO Fund. And I pitched him on what we were building. And they invested.
That's amazing.
Right? But that process was almost a full year process.
Wow.
To get that first initial check. So what I would say to somebody is network and get to the point where you're doing your research.
Absolutely.
Right? Like this is what I said. Like, I taught myself how to code. I taught myself blockchain. I taught myself so much. The information is there. So go and ask questions. Fail fast and learn faster. That's my motto. It's like, I may not know it, but I'm confident in myself that I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So go learn, and I would say I'll leave you with this. It's the 4 Ps. If you get these 4 Ps right, you'll at least be set up right. The first P is identify the problem that you're trying to solve. Like, really understand your problem.
Yeah.
And then the next P is, what's the product that can solve that problem, right? So you identify the problem. Now you know the product that can solve that problem. Next is, what's the way that you can promote your product? Like, how do you promote? Is it through content? Is it through a podcast? Is it through TikToks? Is it through user-generated content? Figure out how you promote it. That's free. You don't need no money for that right now. And then the last thing, this is critical. How do you plan to make money off of it?
Come on.
Right? Like, what is your business? What is your revenue model? Like, get those 4 things down, right? And then if you see me, because there's people that pitch me, and it's like, well, what's the problem you're solving? Do you know your market? Like, I knew my market. Yeah. Like, I know my client. I know, like, no one, I shouldn't know your client better than you.
That's a fact.
Right?
That's a fact.
And that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, if you do those 4 Ps, understand your problem, develop a product, learn how to promote it, and what's your profits, then you're set up, at least structurally, to be able to curate an elevator pitch.
Yeah. Go-to market strategy.
Facts. Yeah.
You know what? It's really cool to hear the process, because a lot of people, there's so many ideas out here.
Yep.
There's so many great ideas, and, in these spaces that we grow up in. I grew up in Long Beach, you grew up in Compton. There's the next person has the biggest idea.
Yep.
And they just need someone to pour into them or to take them by the hand. So what is your stance on mentoring? And do you provide that to a lot of the young people that you have through your education?
Yeah, I would say I have my natural mentorship and proximity, and that's fortunately or unfortunately is networking yourself into my proximity in the sense of like it just happened organically where it's like this is a kinship and I will mentor you, right? That's just natural organic mentorship.
Absolutely.
And then there's like this intentionality, right? It's like, hey, am I allocating time, you know, for this execution? So I would say, you know, yes, I'm big on mentorship, but I'm more big on the mentee. What they say the teacher arrives or the student arrives or something like that when the teacher arrives when the student shows up, right? Meaning that like when you're ready to learn, like then this mentorship can happen. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm at this stage right now, like I'm not short of ideas. I'm more about people that can execute on ideas.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yo, I'm sure you had somebody, oh, I got an idea for your podcast.
Right.
Bro. You should do that.
These
and
are
boom,
facts.
boom, 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 boom. And your thing gonna be up
Right.
here. And you like, okay, are you gonna help me execute?
Hello.
Right? Because people, like, I don't need your criticism right now. I need your support. You
Say
know what
that
I'm saying?
again.
So, like, I don't, ideas, man, that's a great idea. How are you executing?
Yeah.
Right? And do you believe, so that's at least for me, if I see you out here trying to execute, that makes me be like, yo, I want to help you. It's like this, I tell this to my mentees all the time, like, imagine two people are driving in the mountains and they both run out of gas, right? One person is like on their phone, they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta call AAA, oh my gosh, they don't got service, and all the cars are past them. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. The other person like, I don't got no service. I'm about to get out the car and start pushing it. I don't know where we're going, but hopefully a gas station is here.
Period.
So they start pushing it, and the other person who was looking at the phone, looking at them like, dang, they crazy. And then somebody stopped and helped them push. And then she's like, oh my God. Then another car comes and stops and calls a tow truck, and then now the car is on a tow truck gone while you still in the car wondering why nobody helping you.
Hello.
Well, the point is, get out the car and start pushing.
Okay.
Right? And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to, most people have their ideas and it's always stuck here.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to share nobody. I have folks that's not even executing on the idea. They hit me up and be like, yo, you got to sign an NDA before I tell you.
Right.
Like, all right, bet. Like, you hold that. Like, I really want to see those who are fearless.
Yeah.
That's like, yo, I'm going to execute. If I get your mentorship or not, I'm going to execute.
Yeah.
Because your mentorship is not the foundation of my success. It'll be an add-on.
Yeah.
So like I would say like, no, get out there and execute. Let's start getting some traction. Let's start moving. And then the mentorship here now accelerates you.
Yeah.
So that's at least where I stand.
Yeah. And with Knowlej, is that something that you said it took 4 years to get up to the point where you got an investor. And do you have people going through the program now?
Correct. We got 5,000 kids across the country learning and earning.
5,000.
5,000 kids, yeah. So Knowlej, I'll tell you this. So before it was Knowlej, the company was called K12 Crypto.
Yeah.
Right. And we did a pilot with K12 Crypto, and we're still big in like Web3, blockchain technology.
Yeah.
We're still doing that. But we also understand, like, I'm a brand guy.
Yeah.
Like, my brand, Revolutionary Educator, right? Being revolutionary, like, I'm a brand guy. I can build brands and sell in schools and solve problems in schools second to none, right?
It's
because
amazing.
we have receipts. Like, we know how to unpack the hidden treasure that lives inside, especially urban students and urban communities across the world.
Yeah.
Like, second to none. But also understand that in order to scale what I was doing in service-wise as just human being, we needed technology.
Absolutely.
We needed to be able to say, how could I curate what we did in Watts with my high school and what we're going to do at our preschool, where it's accessible to any and every community that seeks to be part of this. So I was like, but I need a brand, because the brand for technology and ed tech, like I'm sure you went through it. They got like nothing against them, the class dojos and this and Cahoots and all these different technology. They're great products, but it doesn't scream the culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I was on ChatGPT, on others, my wife, and we was going back. I'm like, man, cred stack this, that, and then wife was like, yo, you always giving knowledge. I was just like, yo, I think that's it, knowledge. And then I went to ChatGPT and came up with like 10 different ways to spell it.
Yeah.
And then and we found, and we landed on Knowlej.
Yeah.
And that's knowledge. And so we rebranded to Knowledge, and it's just been taken off. So to go back, we have 5,000 kids across the country being able to earn digital assets, from sneakers to gift cards to Jordan sneakers. And we look for brand partnerships. We look for people, brands that want to make a social impact in schools. They partner with Knowledge, and we provide them with an impact tracker to see how many kids they impact from the rewards that they provide.
Yeah.
Schools pay us for kids to participate. And we work with colleges, universities, grants, nonprofits to become the financial operating system to incentivize students and families as they matriculate through school. Our big vision is that kids will eventually be able to earn thousands of dollars to the seed money to fund their future. So guess what? You don't have to now knock on a door on every VC. At least you had $2,000 when you graduated, or $3,000.
Yeah.
And some people say, well, that ain't no money. Listen, $2,000 ain't a lot of money. It may not change somebody's life, but it can change somebody's life.
It can change somebody's life.
You know what I mean? Because I'm the one that I've graduated kids, and I've lost a kid because the $400 that he needed to get out of state to another university, felt like he didn't have, stayed at a community college, and the streets got to him. You know what I'm saying? So I know firsthand what some seed money for that one student who's trying everything, that don't got it all together, but they got it together. They trying to hold it together. Like, that can change a kid's life. So that's been our mission, is to reshape education and have and call to action. Every ed tech company should be providing a learn to earn, where those families get a piece of the pie in regards of the billions of dollars that these companies are making on the backs of students that come from communities like ours.
Yeah, and it motivates the kids to stay in school.
Correct.
Because there's so many kids that drop out every year.
Correct.
Because maybe they're not motivated. Maybe, even the curriculum in schools are just not it.
Yeah.
A lot of it's outdated, and including technology and then adding this incentive to it can really change the scope of how they view education.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, there's a study called Cash for Grades. It's by Harvard, by Dr. Roland Fryer. It was conducted in 2008. 36,000 kids across the country were incentivized with stipends for good grades, good attendance, and test scores.
Amazing.
In 1 year, it showed an increase, and it had some mixed results. Showed an increase in some engagement. It didn't show an increase in test scores.
Yeah.
But the research showed that the number one way to increase test scores is one-on-one tutoring. So that's that. But I want you to take also, to just take in our world, that happened in 2008.
Wow.
There was no software. There was no gamification. It was just like, you come to school, you get some money.
Yeah.
A middle school kid, if I talk to my daughter who's 8 in elementary, if I told her, here, I'll give you $20 or $20 worth of Robux in her game.
Oh, yeah.
She's taking Robux 10 out of 10 times.
Absolutely.
So our theory, for at least for me, we're now in 2024. That was the last time anyone did a comprehensive study on financial incentives in school.
Wow.
We were still on iPhone 1. So I want you to put in context, if we looked at that study like it was a product.
Yeah.
In 2008, we did a study with 36,000 kids for money. We never revisited from 2008 to see what was flawed in the study.
Yeah.
Our platform Knowlej is the enhancement in the revolutionary approach taken upon on that study to gamify learning in a way that engages and personalized to every kid.
Yeah.
So there's some kids that want the Robux. There's some kids that want the V-Bucks in Fortnite. There's some kids that's like, yo, give me the money.
Right.
There's some kids that's like, yo, give me the sneakers.
I love it.
So we personalize it using artificial intelligence with insights, and we use blockchain to protect the rewards. So upon graduation, they can now own their assets.
That's amazing.
So that's the mission that we're on, to reshape and revolutionize education.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. I wish I had that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten tech earlier.
Yeah.
So how can people get involved in? Are you looking for additional investors? How does that work right now?
Yeah, so we are starting our pre-seed round. So we did well. Like, we have major traction. We have over 300,000 kids on a wait list. We have 5,000 kids active, and we're opening up a $2 million pre-seed round for investors. They can jump in and join us as we reshape education. Join on this like real big journey, because we're not going anywhere. Like, and we're here to play in the long game. Like, we're not like, hey, we're interviewing at this stage. We're interviewing investors and scoping investors just as much as they're scoping us. So we've said no to a few folks because we just weren't mission aligned. Because we're in a good place right now. They say in the world, and I'm now seeing how true it is the best time to ask for money is when you don't need money. And it's hard, right? Because it's hard to get to the point where it's like, I don't need the money. But that's why I said, when you build a product and people, and you're solving that problem, you can start just saying, you know what, we're getting some revenue. Yes, the money will be great. We can accelerate, but at what cost? Right? We do want to make sure that we have the right partners, the right people that's on our mission. So that's what we're doing. I would say, for example, we are going to be hiring. One of the key industries that we are looking for is prompt engineers. Prompt engineers, if you don't know what it is, go look it up. It's the ability for you to be able to understand some of these AI tools and be able to prompt them creatively, constructively, and critically. If you cannot do that, that means that we have to allocate more time in coaching you, which is fair, right? We can do that. But it's so much better when you come in prepared. So that's why we are anchoring it with a lot of schools. And like, we have to start getting students aware of how to prompt. What are these tools and how do they use them? And that's just one side of the AI tech. We haven't even talked about training like machine learning and understanding like the data sets that go into a lot of these intelligence and large language models are not culturally responsive. Meaning that if you go to ChatGPT or Bard or some of these large language models of tech and you say, hey, give me a teacher that looks cool, the default is a teacher that probably won't look like you.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's something that we are bringing to the forefront. And we look to build a pipeline for young Black technologists that come from where we come from to have a home here at Knowlej. Because none against any other pathways and programs. A lot of times they prepare them for a culture that is not equipped for that genius, right? And you feel like that it goes back to that code switching aspect. So that's what we're about, and that's what we're building. So like, definitely get in prompt engineer. If you understand how to use some of these tools, like, shoot us a DM. It may be a spot for you at Knowlej.
Come on now. Listen, what's the next wave of AI? Because AI is like rapidly changing, like every day. So what do you think the next wave is?
Yeah, I think AI is going to be here, but I do think that it's going to catch a lot of waves in the next 6 months, next 8 months when it comes to election season. I think that we are in a bubble when it comes to like a lot of companies. I think a lot of companies will fall. I think there's going to be some new legislation passed. I think there's going to be policies. I think there's going to be a lot of shifts in the AI space. Nothing just goes straight up.
Right.
So with that being said, it doesn't mean you should leave the space. It doesn't mean you shouldn't learn it. It just means be prepared for the tailwinds that are coming up. Right? But it's not going anywhere. Right? Like Google just laid off thousands of employees because they can be replaced with AI. Duolingo, the language provider, just laid off thousands because now of AI. Walmart just said 60% of their stores is about to be, fully automated with AI. So these technological advances are not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to ask yourself, are you going to be a Flintstone or a Jetson? Right?
I love it.
And, unfortunately, you need to keep your Flintstone wisdom, but build your Jetson skill. And I think you'll be in a good place.
Yeah, I think people of color if we get into it now, we can do so much. We can make a huge impact in that space. And I really want us to really deep dive into careers
Correct.
You know what I mean? And for someone who's just interested in that space, what is something that they can get into now, and where can they go and get those skills?
Yeah, so I would say a few things. One is, and I could be pronouncing it wrong, it's called UWizard. UZ, have you heard of that?
No, I don't know that one.
IARD.AI, right? It helps you build out an app from a prompt. Well, it'll build out at least the front end design of your app from a prompt. So I'll give you an example. If you go to uwizard.ai, I believe, don't quote me on that, but we can pull it up. You can say, I am looking for an app that can help connect the keys to the culture influencers to my podcast that will allow them to be part of a membership, right? And it'll create what the best thing will look like. And you can say, I want it to look futuristic. These are the color things. And then build out kind of like a wireframe template for you.
That is amazing.
And you could at least now take that and go find a designer, go find a back-end developer and make it live.
That's insane.
In less time, right? So being able to develop products is a lot quicker. And this is happening in real time right now.
Yeah.
Right? So I would definitely do that. I would definitely say dive into the problem.
Yes.
And then use our creativity to figure out what is a product. Everything around us is a product. Right? Somebody had to think, all right, we want a screen. How can we put people, how can we put it in branding and put it in Canva and put it right there? Like, and a lot of times creativity is the misuse of things. Right? Like when you think about some of the most creative things that come about, it's come from like, oh, that beat machine wasn't supposed to do that. I wasn't supposed to use it for that, but I put that in there and it was like, damn, that actually goes. Right? Like, so when you think about like the auto-tune and these different things, they're misuse of products that then becomes a standard. So, and it happens time and time again, but I would say like, go back to those 4 Ps, but go to uwizard.ai and really just play around with developing a product. I mean, ChatGPT and Bard can actually give you the code, the back-end code. But I would start to study and look at everything we use right now as a product. And once you start getting into tech, you start realizing like, oh, I know how to build that. I have no computer science background. Right? I have no computer science background. And now I can go through an app and be like, oh, I know exactly what you did. I can build this. Yeah. Right? Because you start to get engulfed in it. And you start, and for a long time, have you ever been around somebody that does construction and they be like, oh, I know what they did here. They look at it and they be like, oh, they did that. It's because once you get so used to knowing how like a construction worker come in here and look around and be like, okay, I can build this. I know what they did. It's the same way in technology. Once you start getting used to, oh man, okay, all right, we can build an API for that. And that's just an integration that can tap into that technology. I'll give you an example. What makes Uber special, like Uber, is GPS. It's allowing the person that is driving to know where you're at to come pick you up. If Uber didn't have GPS, it wouldn't be an Uber.
That's a fact.
Did Uber build GPS? No. They built the user experience on top of GPS because they were able to understand just different technologies. So the reason why we need to expose students to these technologies is because their creative thought will then understand that they can build something on top of it. That makes the genius come.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you think about Clubhouse, there was nothing like revolutionary with the technology. It was just it put together in a user experience that was like, oh, like back in the days, we used to all get on a phone and had a little party room.
Yep, like, I remember.
You know what I mean? They just took that concept and put it in an app.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just say that, we got to expose it so you can understand what they're doing.
Hey, it's your girl Maisha from Keys to the Culture podcast. Are you a creative building a brand and want to take your business to the next level? Then listen up because I got some exciting news for you. One of the fastest ways to reach your target audience is to promote on Keys to the Culture podcast. Why? Because we have some of the biggest names in the game, for musicians, the CEOs, the creatives, and bosses of all kinds. So this is your chance to tap into our audience to grow your business to the next level. We work with small businesses as well as newbies in the game. So don't worry if you're just starting out, we got you covered. Are you ready to promote on Keys to Culture Podcast? Well, click the link in the bio to promote today. Yeah. And you know what? A lot of companies, they miss the mark. Like, speaking of Uber, taxi.
Yeah.
They was late to the game to even do like an app and get, on the phones, because everything is on the phone now.
Correct.
So because it was so late and behind, they missed the opportunity to take over that space.
Yeah.
And I think that has happened. I mean, Blockbuster.
I say that in my presentations. I go across the country and I have a big sign that says, are you the Blockbuster of education or are you the Netflix?
Man.
Right? And a lot of times, you think about the story of Blockbuster, I tell them all the time is, Blockbuster was it growing up. Like, it was a spot. It was like, we go in there, it was cool, but
find a movie.
They did not change. They had an opportunity to change, but they felt like we're the standard. Yeah. And, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Netflix wanted to partner with Blockbuster.
Crazy.
And they denied it. And then Netflix evolved to streaming, and they thought it was a fad. It was like, oh, this is whatever. And then Blockbuster is gone. And then now I think it was like one left. I tell this all the time. It's like one left because they have this whole documentary on the last Blockbuster left. It's a documentary on Netflix.
Crazy.
Right? So, like, the last documentary of Blockbuster, the only way that you can see it is on Netflix.
Isn't
the company
that
took them out. And we asked, teachers, are you the Blockbuster of education? And many are, right? Like, they're still using stickers to just reward kids. They're still doing this certificate. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but it's like, we can't go that's
something else, man.
That's been like 50 years. So I love that example. I use it all the time. Or Amazon and Toys R Us. Like, it's so many examples.
Oh my God. It's been such a wave. Things have been changing, and it changed rapidly. Technology changes every 2.5 seconds or something else. Correct. And, I just really want to see more of us in that space as well. Yeah. And speaking of technology, when it comes to cryptocurrency, because I know nothing about that. Yeah. Give some people just some basic knowledge about crypto, and then where is this going? Is this really going to be a thing?
No, it is a thing. Okay. All right, so let me explain crypto in the best way I can, right? Mm-hmm. So, back in the days, have you ever had somebody that had a physical safe in their house? Yeah. Like, they have a safe. If you imagine somebody who had a safe back in the days or even today, typically what do you put in that safe, right? You'll unlock it, find the code, and you'll put like your Rolex, your prized possessions in that safe. Or you'll be like my mom, you put everything under the mattress, right? That's your safe. But going back to the safe, you put all your prized possessions, your physical assets in that safe, you lock it, and if you have somebody like, here's the secret code to get in that safe. Well, now we have moved and we have transitioned to a digital asset space. So if we take that same physical, you put in a safe, and digital, like, more people now, we value our pictures, we value that blue check, we value all these different things. Where do you put your digital assets? Yeah. Well, you put your digital assets in a wallet that you can secure, which essentially is a digital wallet that is on a blockchain. Okay. Right? So imagine that safe. The safe is the wallet, and the blockchain is where it lives. Yeah. Right? So now, going back to the safe, the most prized possession in the past was gold. Yeah. You put the gold in the safe. Well, in the digital world, the prized possession of digital gold is Bitcoin. So you get Bitcoin as your digital gold to put in your safe, which is your wallet. Because since the beginning of time, money has always evolved. Yeah. Assets has always evolved. So you have to ask yourself, where do you think, we went from only having cash or gold and this to debit cards, to credit cards, to now you can pay for it on your phone. Yeah. So now you got Cash App, now you got Zelle, now you're doing all that. You're already on your phone. That's a fact. So now your digital wallet is on your phone. Where's your digital gold? Bitcoin. Whereas now what we found out is, remember going back, creativity comes from the misuse of things. So when people found out about this technology, they start to be creative to create digital art.
Yes.
NFTs, non-fungible tokens. When you think about digital art, physical art is one of the most enriched asset classes in our country.
Yes,
if
it
you hear
is.
about Jay-Z, you hear about, they're like, yo, invest in art. That one of one piece is millions, right? That one. Then if we're going into a digital world, don't you think digital art will also eventually have value?
That's a fact.
So how do you protect, how do you know what digital art, if it's validated? Like, see, like a physical art, you'd be like, that artist will put their signature.
Yeah.
But then you buy it from that physical artist. But what if you wanted to resell it? You will resell it, but that artist don't get no money from you reselling it.
That's a fact.
But what if there was technology that allowed you to continuously, in perpetuity, earn money from your product, your origination, your IP to be sold?
Yeah.
And the only way for you to be able to do that is through blockchain and crypto, because it's permissionless. Me and you can transact without a government entity, without a middleman, right then and there. So
it's amazing.
I kind of went from low, but hopefully, the viewers can understand that, the bet in blockchain, Bitcoin is not a now bet. It's a generational bet. Imagine if our parents, right? That's what trust and investing in assets is generational. So I'm getting gold and I'm collecting gold and precious metals, not just for my lifetime, for my kids and their kids' kids.
Yeah.
So I would say, excuse me, Bitcoin is the digital gold. Bitcoin is the digital gold. Ethereum is the digital silver. Buy it, not for you.
Yeah.
For who you're going to pass it to.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. Because, it's been so much talk about cryptocurrency over the last couple of years. And, people say, oh, no, don't invest into that. But it seemed like it is something that's just a long-term play.
And you're going to get some short-term rewards for sure, right? I have gotten some short-term rewards for sure. But it's where you want to protect your assets.
Yeah.
It is a very volatile asset class, but you got to think, Bitcoin was once $3.
Yeah, I know.
Now it's 40,000.
I wish I would have cleaned up then.
Right? So, and I know I get it. People are like, but I don't get it. Where is it at?
Right.
Well, ask yourself now. Back in the days, remember when we were growing up in our room, we used to put all our little pictures similar to this on the rooms and stuff. Now our Instagram is that picture. Like, that's our digital room.
That's a fact.
Right? So the digital assets are only going to increase. And you have to ask yourself, what digital asset are you investing in and collecting to be prepared for a decentralized or somewhat decentralized asset class when it comes to cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
And that's why we're providing access to the next generation with our platform, Knowlej, to provide them with the opportunity to earn crypto and Bitcoin or Satoshi as they go through school, so they can understand there's a new digital world that's happening. Similar to, and I leave it with this, you ever been somewhere and they say, we accept MasterCard, credit card, Visa? Eventually we'll live in a world where it says we accept those cards, but we accept Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Yes.
And
they do have the ATMs too.
They already, so it's happening.
Yeah, it's already happening.
Correct.
So y'all get into it now. It's not a game out here.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Wow. Excuse me. A lot. So we, shout outs to my boy Stink Watch Foundation, Austin Eckler from the Los Angeles Chargers, my executive director, Dr. Cherie Montgomery for our Early Childhood Academy. We're opening up the Compton Legacy within the next 60 days, right in the heart of Compton. We're going to be welcoming over 26 families to the first Web3 AI-powered preschool, where we have game-based learning, but also for families to be piloted with earning digital rewards for participating in Parent University at our school. So we're going to be opening up our preschool. Super excited about that. I have my kids' book, Little City Big Dreams, that's coming out. And it's to inspire kids all across the world, no matter where they come from, but specifically if they come from places like mine, although you may come from a little city, don't let it be a barrier for you to have a big dream.
Yeah.
And then lastly, of course, is Well, not last. We got a lot of other stuff, but we got a documentary coming out on my journey of opening up the school. It's called The Diary of a Revolutionary Educator, and doing that. But ultimately, what I'm most excited about is being a now technologist, a startup founder, and our goal is the road to 1 million. Our goal and our mission is to impact positive change with 1 million kids and families across the country. We're at 5,000. We got a long way to go, but we're looking for brands to help us achieve this mission of impacting 1 million kids through Learn to Earn, to understand the future of work and learning through our platform.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Look, you're doing big things out here, man. That's phenomenal. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Listen, we connected at an event. I believe it was with Children Striving Together.
Yep. Shout out to Christy.
Shout out to Christy. And I said, I got to get this guy on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, so smart, so educated, and you have so many things that you're doing for the community that's so important and that's needed now. We need this.
Yep.
And I feel like the next generation not only is going to take this, but it's also going to plant a seed in them to be able to build for their next generation as well. Yep. So where can the people find you? Give me your your website, everything.
Listen, if y'all trying to reshape education, follow me, Principal Rahh, R-A-H-H, on all platforms. LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Join the mission. Go follow the company. Get Knowlej, at Get Knowlej, GETKNOWLEJ. Join us as we reshape education. Help us impact 1 million kids across the country, be re-engaged with school, but most importantly, understand what it takes to make their dreams come true. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Y'all better follow this man. And if you want to follow the show, at Keys to the Culture Podcast on all platforms. Follow me at I Am Maisha. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you soon.